Hello there, Commonwealth from here. Dinrol, Nadra, and Farush, the three spiritual dragons of Hyrule who fly across Hyrule's borderland provinces before returning back to the heavens after the patrol of Eldin, North Central Hyrule, Hebra, Gerudo, Faron, Lanayru, Necluda, a ring of dragons protecting Hyrule's borders, but from what and for who? Throughout the Zelda Theory, we will do our best to show you how the three golden goddesses might have never left far away from Hyrule, but watched over it from above. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell as we depart up to the heavens, inside Breath of the Wild 2.
The three great goddesses, their labors completed, departed for the heavens, and golden sacred triangles remained at the point the goddesses left the world. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis of our world's providence. The goddesses left the Triforce in the care of goddess Hylia, which then passed it on to the first hero and then the bloodline of Zeldas and their royal family. For as long as the Triforce did not bring the complete destruction of Hyrule, the goddesses watched from above and accepted whatever wishes were asked of them by the wielders of the Triforce. Takeover by Ganondorf and Ganon, sealing, flooding, restoration, empathy, and divine support. The golden goddesses have granted many rightful but also controversial wishes, but have never left the heavens to intervene.
Instead, the golden goddesses have left ambassadors in the form of spiritual deities who represented them among the living. We see these beings as spiritual deities in Skyward Sword, during the Interloper War, then in Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, each of them being the highest authority of the part of Hyrule outside of its central core, which has been the domain of Hylia, Zeldas, and the House of Hyrule. Now with the fall of the central core 100 years ago, only the ring surrounding it remains, and it is this area that is Ganondorf's target after his resurrection. Protecting it will be no easy task, as Ganondorf has now the high ground. So perhaps Link will need the help from the domain where the three spiritual dragons depart to, but whoever resides up here will not aid any mortal, and are thus likely to test the courage of the hero of Hyrule in the islands or perhaps even Kingdom of Heaven, where Din, Nehru, and Ferror may still reign supreme.
And there are a number of reasons to believe that this could be the case, as the only way to get up to this realm of gods is by using a spiritual hand, making Link the first living hero to make the journey up here. But at first he will not be greeted well, as automatons await wearing a broomstick symbol which at a closer inspection, in this case 4K upscaled by Waikuteru, doesn't look like a broomstick at all, but a bell, as suggested to us by Aloy on Discord. In fact, this entire theory was suggested by said person, so be sure to thank Aloy in the comment section. Some of you may think right now, so what if it is a bell? That doesn't change much. And to that I reply, it changes everything. Since bells are used throughout the religious world from Christianity to Buddhism to Shintoism to signal God or gods, we signal and message them about our prayers. Much like we ring the bell proving ourselves at the Tower of the Gods in the Wind Waker. Wait a minute. A giant bell on the top of a Tower of Gods, which we reach after defeating a divine automaton which has an all-seeing eye, or eyes, of providence that Link has to conquer in order to be worthy of ringing our presents to the goddesses in the heavens.
And if you think this is a coincidence, then think again, since how do we raise the Tower of the Gods in the Wind Waker? By collecting 3 spiritual orbs, which are then placed in each of Hyrule's 3 corners, forming the Triforce, and in the middle of it, above the sealed Hyrule Castle, rising up the Tower of the Gods. A tower that has very likely been inspired by the Tower of Babel and the story attached to it, namely the Great Flood, which is also very fitting to the Great Flood before the Wind Waker. It is all biblical mixed with Buddhism and Shintoism, which in many ways is the basis of the religious life found in Hyrule. In other words, this broomstick is in fact a bell, and is tied to the all-seeing eyes on the guardians of the gods. All hostile at first, because they are our greatest hint towards that Link, thanks to the spiritual hand that combined with his own right hand, which again was attacked by Malice, has managed to reach the heavens where the 3 golden goddesses rule supreme. Bells have always been tied to the divine in Zelda, as we find similar looking bells in Twilight Princess Temple of Time within the section of the temple that is seen as the Temple of Light, and which is accessed by placing the Master Sword in the pedestal. Here they are used to teleport the ancient statues that we control using the Dominion Rod.
Bells are no doubt a symbol and tool to message the Zelda gods outside the Triforce, and thus this symbol on the automaton makes perfect sense. They are guarding the realm of the gods from intruders, which in this case, Link is. and it is up to Link to prove that he isn't an intruder, but the hero of Hyrule and messenger of the surface to the goddesses, to end their inaction towards the tragedy that has unfolded below 100 years ago and is about to repeat, but on an even grander scale in the present. Link has to show his worth to bring a divine intervention that can end this nightmare once and for all, and give Hyrule, their creation, a future without calamities or destruction. Just like we proved our worth to the ancient Sheikah to obtain the Set of the Wild and be considered as the true hero of Hyrule, we will have to do the same to the Golden Goddesses, but this time through proper trials, aka temples, found in the heavens, not of the past, but of the gods, and not of Goddess Hylia of the surface, but of the three Golden Goddesses, the creators of Hyrule and the complete Triforce, the latter which could be within Princess Zelda or has not been seen by us in the era of the Wild.
Clearly, the bloodline of Hylia is not enough to stop Ganondorf. A hero is required. But even then, the hero is only able to kill this Ganondorf, not prevent the future incarnation to rise and once again set Hyrule in flames. In this case, if Ganondorf has to be dealt with once and for all, and with no incarnation, we need the involvement of the only three goddesses that were above Hylia, the Golden Goddesses Din, Nehru and Farore, who have not returned back to Hyrule since creating it, only leaving behind Hylia, which, let's be honest, sounds very familiar with God on Earth in Christianity, namely Jesus Christ. The Zelda team and director and writer Hidemaru Fujibayashi, in particular, has in Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild and now its sequel clearly been blending Christianity with Buddhism and Shintoism, all to create the current pantheon of the gods of Hyrule, which brings me over to the Sheikah, the chosen guardians of Goddess Hylia, who has protected the divine blood since before Goddess Hylia gave up her immortality and was then reincarnated as the first Zelda in the era of the sky.
The ancient Sheikah who built the shrines and the Astral Observatory must have known that eventually Calamity Ganon would succeed and the battle of the end times would come. Thus, they've detailed zodiac patterns on its walls. But, as Dr. Wily suggested in his theory, these might not be tied to the stars, but rather to the Sky Islands found in Breath of the Wild sequel, or, as we suggest, the heavens, the home of the three golden goddesses from which they have been sending their servants to Hyrule, where Hylia and her reincarnated bloodline ruled until 100 years ago, when the calamity finally destroyed the kingdom and killed its last king. And with Zelda and her power possibly out for most, if not all of this quest against the puppet master, not the puppet, it makes sense that the goddesses above all other goddesses in the world of Zelda would be reached by Link.
The goddesses that were referenced by the so-called Zonai tribe as they carved statues of dragons, owls and boars, the spirit animals of each of the three golden goddesses. The boar of Din, the goddess of power, the owl of Nehru, the goddess of wisdom, and the dragon of Farore, the goddess of courage. Hylia sacrificed herself by giving up her immortality and is no more. Only her husk, the bloodline of mortal Zeldas, remain, but the three golden goddesses were and remain immortal, meaning that they are still up there in the heavens after returning there from what later became Hyrule, observing but not intervening, which explains the abundance of lotus flowers both on the automaton and the gates resembling those leading into the Shinto shrines, the domain of the kami or gods. The lotus, as Monster Maze clearly explained in his lotus flower theory, is a symbol of the endless circle of immortality. A flower of immortality, just like the spirits are immortal, and ruling them are the gods, the kami. Now that Ganondorf has either plunged Zelda and the Master Sword deep underground or imprisoned sealed them in the castle, Link needs allies that can aid him in the final battle to come over Hyrule.
Who better than the creators of the world and the Triforce? Getting to them might be hell, as we will have to take down far more than one bell. But their aid might make the difference between victory or defeat in the current timeline's endgame, ending the reincarnating cycle of hatred and giving Hyrule a chance to heal after losing so many of its inhabitants 100 years ago. This could be it, a conclusion and a new beginning. A true spectacle of an ending to the Ganondorf arc, and a new beginning from the franchise from 2027 or 2028.
Anyway, that is the theory of bells of the goddesses, the heavens they rule, the lotus flower of immortality and eternity, much more as the Zelda team might once again be blending real-life religions from both East and West to give us a sequel for the history books. But please share us your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, please leave a like, subscribe to the Commonwealth Realm, and press the notification bell with all notifications on, as far more Breath of the Wild 2 videos and other Zelda videos are on the way during this 35th anniversary and the hopefully release year of Breath of the Wild sequel in 2022. Finally, a big thanks as always goes to all our patreon.com/CommonRealm patrons, and in particular to royal producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.